Well, hello. I'd say hello again, like these are ongoing episodes, but this is my second YouTube video. This is going to be a video about, intro to prepping stuff. If this is your first step on prepping, it's actually not. It's your second, probably, or third. Why is that? Because if you go look in your fridge, if you have more food than would last you a day, technically you're a prepper. When we go to the grocery store, we're buying food for extended periods of time, but that depends on your definition of extended. For serious, hardcore preppers, extended is, I mean, if we're talking serious hardcore preppers, extended is till the end of their lives, right? They've got it all mapped out. I have a pond in the back, and forgive me if I do a country accent, because the truth is, a lot of people who are serious preppers literally go to the country, right? To the south, or even the north, North Dakota, if you can stand the snow. If you're a mega prepper, I suppose there's one or two that live in densely populated urban areas, but generally preppers aren't going there, right? They're going to get away from that. I've watched video after video. It's one of my many hobbies is watching videos on that TV up there you can't see about what is prepping, what does it mean, what does it take, most importantly, is really what prepper videos are about. And most people want to be way out somewhere where there's not these rolling gangs. If you ever watch Walking Dead or something, it's like, everybody's coming after your stuff. And different preppers have different ideologies about their prepping. I consider myself sort of a middle of the road prepper, where if you watch the show Doomsday Preppers, which I've seen pretty much every episode because I think they're fun, right? And when I watch them, I enjoy them a lot because it's not something that's done in some Hollywood studio. These are real people with real ideas and real beliefs, whether they're accurate or not. Actually, always in Doomsday Preppers, I think the studio guys say you have to pick something and tell us what it is you're prepping for. And so in the beginning, there's usually some guy or gal who stands there and goes, "We're prepping for the ultimate annihilation of the United States economy," or "We're prepping for a grid down situation caused by solar flares," or "grid down situation caused by cyber attacks by countries that can't stand us because we're so free," right? They keep their citizens indoctrinated. All right, wait. Well, dude, hold on. That's another video. Back to the stuff. So as far as myself and prepping, I consider myself like sort of a novice prepper. If somebody asked me a hardcore question like, "Bro, everything, something bad happens, how long can you survive?" I can't answer it because it depends on what it is. So, if it's like, all right, let's just go. All right, so some other crazy country detonates some huge bomb in our atmosphere and it fries all the electrical stuff. That would be called a grid down, right? Okay. Then there's a different grid down. Then there's like, we have a big tornado come through and it knocked out all the power stations. That's a different grid down. Is the grid down in both circumstances? Yes. But the tornado that came through, as devastating as that is going to be, absolutely devastating for families. Their houses, their roofs flying, a mile away, versus like, a 3-year or a 2-year grid down because of some huge EMP blast that was done on purpose. The tornado, okay, that system can be rebuilt within a certain amount of time. How long? I don't know. I'm not climbing the poles. I don't work for those companies, so I had no clue. I do know somebody who's a lineman, works on the poles. I should ask him, dude, hurricane comes through, all the poles go down. How long is that going to take for us to get power back? I don't know, man. We're looking at a couple weeks. Other situations, dude, you're looking at years. This is a nationwide catastrophe, right? So, okay, we've covered a couple things on like levels of devastation, levels of, grid down stuff. Then other people talk about, I'm prepping for an absolute pandemic, right? And can you guys imagine the people before COVID that were like, prepping to the levels of, some people call insanity and filling their, they got everything. They got, 16 years of toilet paper. They got biofuel. They're bringing home cows and, goats, and that's it. We're prepared. And then COVID happened. They're like, I told you. I'm no longer that psycho neighbor that guy over there is weird. Did you notice what he's been doing? Yeah, he shows up in the middle of the night, backs this big, I don't know what that thing is. It's like a military truck with armor plates. I see him like, flashes in the garage. He's like, I don't know, welding at night or something. There's goats, there's chickens coming in, and, all of a sudden, as of yesterday, I hear, and now he's got roosters, and that guy's a weird neighbor. Until something happens. Am I one of those people on Doomsday Preppers who thinks and lives their whole lifestyle according to it? The wife is going, honey, why don't we take vacations anymore? Babe, we got to prep. Every single dollar and cent goes to all that stuff, right? No, I'm not at that level. Not nearly. I'm at more of what I call a feel-good hobbyist level, which means basically that I add stuff to my prepper pantry on a weekly basis, and my prepper pantry is now a lot bigger than my kitchen pantry. When I open the doors of my kitchen pantry, if I'm hungry, beans. I don't want to eat garbanzo beans. When you got mac and cheese, I don't even feel like boiling water. Chunky soup. All right, I'm feeling lazy. Chunky soup, in a pot. Burner on, boom. It's a 2-minute meal. I like doing it, and there's a weird thing about me. I don't think it's that weird. I've actually saw somebody else post about it, where I sometimes will go like, where is it? Right there. We bought that recently. That's a prepper freezer. Got a Home Depot for like 300 something. I like it because it had shelves. I don't like the deep chest freezers because if you're trying to find something like some pork chops from 1987, you have to excavate the whole thing, right, to dig down to the bottom. I like that one. It's a little bit taller. It has shelves. I have to move minimal stuff to get to something that I want. But, I know I'm kind of going all over the place with this. I should try and get to the point about, intro to prepping stuff. Why do we do it? I guarantee I'm not going to get to the point. I don't care. This is my video. I'm going to say what I want. Maybe somebody will find it useful and interesting. Like, why did I even become a prepper? I think my first experience of being I wasn't aware of it at the time, but when I was 16, I went on a 21-day camping trip with an organization called Outward Bound. And somehow along the way, one of our canoes tipped, and all the instant food, which would include like the pancakes, the iced tea mix, the lemonade mix, and anything else that was instant, the dry milk. We took everything we were going to eat. I mean, the orientation was like the first day. You get back to camp the second day, 21 miles to. Okay, so like 19 days of being out in the Minnesota wilderness, canoeing, using maps and portaging, carrying canoes from lake to lake in the Minnesota boundary waters. We wound up in Canada. Eventually, Van picked us up and brought us back. That was one of the most brutal, shitty experiences I ever had, and it was one of the most eye-opening and best experiences I had. Somewhere along the way, after that canoe tipped, after that, I lost my cutlery. I think I left it at a campsite on a log. I don't know. It's still a mystery to me. I'm 47. I have no freaking clue where that fork is. It's sitting out in the Minnesota wilderness. But what I had to do was I had to make a spoon. I wasn't going to make a fork. I figured a spoon would be all-encompassing. So I literally, when I was 16, made this thing out of a tree branch just with a pocket knife. And there I was, everybody had their fork and spoon. I think that was sort of my first intro to being a prepper, because not only did I have a spoon, not only were we short on food, not only did we have to ration, but they also did something. They put us on solo, where they, for 2.5 to 3 days, they put you out there by yourself. We got like a 6x6 poly something thing, whatever you call it, a plastic tarp, like opaque, see-through, sort of not see-through plastic 6x6, a sleeping bag, our water bottle, and iodine tablets, because you would take your water from the lake, you'd put iodine tablets in it, and you'd wait. I think it was like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, shake it up. Tasted horrible, but you got used to it, sort of. And then on the second day solo, there was an insane electrical storm. And I didn't know what an electrical storm was, and it was horrible. And then there was mosquitoes, and I never in my life felt so useless. I felt scared. I felt concerned. I felt helpless. And I think that was kind of my first intro to be prepared, right? And then I think the second thing was Hurricane Sandy in 2012. Any of you still hanging on for this story? God bless you. But anyway, I don't care. I'm just gonna keep going, and eventually get to more of the prepper stuff. But this is my story, Maybe you have something similar. Like, what happened to you? Why are you a prepper? Why are you doing this? Why are you collecting stuff? Do your neighbors think you're crazy? Are you the prepper that just has a big secret pantry and you don't really talk about it much because that's a good idea? Because if the whole, SHTF shit hits the fan scenario, as preppers often refer to it, all your neighbors are going to come to you. Oh, that guy's got his lights on where everybody's grid is down. Why? Because he has a generator and a huge pantry and a nice small barbecue. Also not a good idea. Everybody's lights are out. Everybody's starving after, well, not starving, but let's say a month goes by, something happens, and you're sitting out there, cooking ribs with your Starlink satellite, watching the game or something. Yeah, you're asking for a lot of different things to happen. All right, let's get this back on topic. So yeah, Hurricane Sandy. Long story short, I had a bunch of people come over my place because I was like the Outback Jack camper guy. They're like, if anything happens, we're going to your house. Well, Hurricane Sandy came, and we were ground zero. I live at the Jersey Shore. Or stigma, just saying that terrible TV show. God, it ruined it over here. But when we found out that we were literally the center, not the bullseye, but the center of the bullseye for Hurricane Sandy, the superstorm, we were like, yeah, that kind of sounds serious. And basically what happened is a bunch of people gathered at my house, friends with their pets, dogs, cats, multiple people. And they all kind of turned to me and they were like, so what are we doing? This looks bad. There's water coming in the house. What are we doing? And I felt a lot of pressure and I did my best to do my best. And I won't go into the damages. It was horrific. All right. It was horrible. The pictures I have of, the house across the street where the bottom floor windows, the water's like way up here. Bad. If you ever saw the picture of the roller coaster that got ripped off the boardwalk and landed in the ocean, that was Hurricane Sandy. And so our lights and electricity and everything was out for a long time. And I think that was a big eye-opener for me, because even though that was a small, depending who you ask, small shit hits the fan situation. I mean, there's people in Pennsylvania who are like, oh yeah, or, we had a couple branches come down. Some people in Pennsylvania probably got blasted. Nothing against Pennsylvania. There's people in my town that were a few miles that way. A few branches came down. We still got power. No big deal. But certain people in this area, literally houses were lifted. One of them floated down a river. There's footage. You can look it up. There's a house floating down the river. And if I'm not mistaken, it could be, that's what took the bridge out. There's a bridge. Boom. Chaos. So depending on who you ask in this area, for some people who say Hurricane Sandy and they go, oh God. Other people are like, yeah, that was crazy. Some people got absolutely devastated by it, and we were one of them. House didn't come off the foundation, but I can tell you one thing, bottom floor of the house was useless for a year. All right, so whatever your reasons are for even watching this video, hanging on this long to this rambling gearhead dude talking about his own experiences and why he preps and why I think you make a good decision to prep is, well, it's really subjective for people. Why do you want to do it? I'm not even going to go down that path. I'm going to just kind of move into, how do you get started? How do you get started? What is prepping? It's having food, water, safety, and shelter. I'm sure I'm missing things. Hardcore preppers would be like, you think that's all it is? No, there's a lot more, but those are the basics, right? Do I have a roof? Do I have food to last me for X amount of, days, weeks, months? They say humans need a gallon of water per day. Let's say you have 5 people. I wasn't a math major. I hope this doesn't go bad. 5 people in your house. That's 5 gallons a day of water. 7 times 5, 1 week. 35 gallons of water for 1 week. You know what I'm lacking? Water preps. I don't have a lot of water preps. I got like 20 gallons maybe? That's like nothing, right? So what else, do intro preppers get? They get high protein food like beans and lentils. And who wants to eat beans and lentils all the time? Nobody, until you're starving because shit hit the fan. Well, all of a sudden, beans and lentils taste good. Next thing, salt. Salt has a very long shelf life. Buy a lot of salt, super cheap. Get it at Dollar General, Dollar Tree, super cheap. Get the iodized salt. It's got the iodine in that. We need that. Canned goods, more than anything canned goods. I've watched some prepper videos say that if stored in cool and dry conditions, canned goods are like good for like 25 years. Don't quote me on that. It's what I heard. But I wouldn't be afraid to open up a can of baked beans 12 years later. You know me though. Well, actually you don't, because you never even heard this before. But I could say I know me, and I would open up that can and I would go, oh, it smells good to me. It's good. Decade later, canned goods. Unless, don't put it in your garage. Why? Summertime, heat up. Wintertime, cold down. Fluctuations, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. storing food, any kind of back and forth on big temperature swings and stuff is bad for food. Ask a scientist. I can't explain it. I get the general idea, though. All those fluctuations, not good. The stability of the can, even just like metal flexes under extreme temperature changes. And critters. You do a huge prepper pantry out in your garage. Don't be surprised if a whole condo of mice set up, in your garage, and you're like, honey, why is there pancake mix all over the floor? Just use common sense. Try and keep it in the house, cool and dry conditions. So, another thing, let's see, water. Oh, safety. Yeah, there's another one. Shelter. Let's assume you have a house. Okay, shelter, water, went over that. High protein stuff that lasts for a long time. You can go to the grocery store and a common number is 5% of your budget. Let's say, we're going to the store, we're going to spend $100, which these days gets you about a tin full of food. I know I can't go to the grocery store without, and if I fill a cart with my fiance, they're like, that'll be $387.42. It's insane. I remember in the 90s when I was in high school. I'm old. $100, filled a cart. It's no longer that way. Inflation, all that stuff. Not going to get into politics or why it happens. It's happening. It doesn't matter. It's already here. So if you take, all right, go in the store, $5 off 100, buy a bunch of canned corn, canned beans, some lentils in a bag. The hardcore preppers will get buckets and Mylar bags, and they will pour all this stuff into a Mylar bag and like heat seal it and vacuum seal it. It probably sounds like I'm making fun of it. No, I'm jealous because I'm not at that level yet. I just have canned goods and beans. The beans are in their original bag. I took a good look at my resources, and somebody say, how long do you think you could last? The naive side of my mind said I could last a year. That's not including water. I'm just talking food, right? But how can you last a year on your food if you don't have water? I know, that's a really good point you bring up. But let's just for now, say I solved the water issue. Get a big tank from Tractor Supply or something, add bleach, whatever. I think I can last a year. And if my mind is telling me a year, I'm going to retell myself that's maybe 6 months. Maybe. So if you want to get into prepping, take a little bit out every week and start adding a lot of canned goods. And you're getting somewhere, at least by my definition, when your pantry, your prepper pantry has more content, more food than your primary. I don't know why it makes me feel good. It's a weird thing. It's not that weird. I open it sometimes and I just sit there and I look at it and I'm like, I feel good about that. I feel a sense of comfort about it. If, some crazy thing did happen and the grid went down, there's another thing, cash. I always don't carry cash because I'm a debit card person because apparently that's what the government wants us to do. There's a whole nother video. I'm not really into that kind of topic, but I just didn't carry it because why? All that change I get, it goes in my pocket, it sits somewhere. I never get to use it. I know at least with a debit card, if something is like $2.01, I'm not carrying around 99 cents in my pocket. But here's a huge thing if you want to be a prepper. Let's say it was a grid down situation, which is the most common in my opinion. Hurricanes, trees fall, power lines go down, power's out. Okay, well, if the power's out, my refrigerator is going to get warmer and my freezer and everything's going to thaw out. And the average family, I don't know, if I had to guess, how much food do you think's in that freezer and that fridge? If you itemized everything that you bought, I would guess $400 to $500 worth of food. Unless you got some really good steaks or something, then we're in a different echelon of value of food in the fridge. But for me, I have a generator right here. This is a Briggs & Stratton Storm Responder. 6250 watts, 6250, 8500 starting watts. I had an electrician come, hook up to that box. I run this thing once a month because that's what they say you should do. Get a can of starting fluid. I'm not even going to go into it. Open up the carb, take out the air filter, pull it, first shot. I found that out the hard way, threw my back out after 60 tries, fell down in exhaustion. I think my neighbor was laughing at me. But anyway, if I plug this into the house, it'll run my whole house, except I can't run my air conditioning. It's too much of a load. What did I do to solve that? I have a portable window air conditioner that goes in one room. Well, I can watch TV in that room and be in a cool room. I don't need the whole house to be air conditioned if the power goes out during a heat wave, but I at least have that one room. But how am I going to power a generator without gas? And if I only use my debit card and I go to the gas station with a bunch of cans and I say, here's my debit card, and they say, sir, I'm sorry, the grid is down. Our debit and credit card machine is not working. You're going to have to pay cash. Then I go, good. So now I can't power my house because I come home. And then the fiance looks at me and goes, how much gas did you get? And I said, none. And she goes, why? And I go, because I didn't have cash. Their debit card machines weren't working. I don't have cash on me. And I can't go to the ATM because that's electric and that's not working. And the banks are closed. And then she's going to go, oh my God, you're not a good prepper. Okay, here's the point. Try to carry cash because of situations like that, because there's going to be 90 other people at the gas station waving their debit card, and the guys are going to be, I'm sorry, I'm very sorry about that. Seriously, I might have an in because I speak a little bit of Hindi. Ki hal hai mere dost, aaj mausam phi raha hai. But it's not going to help me if I don't have cash, So, you got to carry cash in case the situation happens, because you're not going to be able to get gas to carry. You get the idea. So, anyway, as far as intro to prepping goes, I think the last thing I'll cover, because this has got to be, how long is this? 27 minutes? Holy jeez, can I ramble? Safety. You got shelter, covered water, covered food. Safety. Hurricane happens, grid down, you're not going to see roving gangs of bandits coming up your street, banging on your door going, hey, I heard you had green beans. No, it's not going to happen. But what you will find that if something really, really serious happens, for example, 2005, no, I'm sorry, 2000, all right, strike that whole thing. There was something that happened called the Carrington event. It was a long time ago, like long time ago, like 100 years ago. There was a solar flare, and it literally fried a lot of the electronic devices. Power lines, actually, in certain areas went on fire. Like, picture that, telephone pole, blue flame going down the whole thing. Grid went down. That was bad. This particular year, right now, today is the 4th of January on 2024. We are in a peak cycle of solar stuff. During that Carrington event, the Aurora Borealis, which is, the electrical pulses or whatever coming from the sun, the flares, sending these, I don't know, I can't explain it, ions or whatever, and it fries our atmosphere and our magnetic protection from that stuff, which, again, I'm not a scientist, but I believe it's based on the molten iron core of Earth protects that, and in a big solar flare, that can be an EMP. It doesn't have to be some crazy other weird dictator country trying to do it on purpose or doing it with a cyber attack. It can literally be from the sun. Let's say that happened. If your power's down for a long time, first thing that's going to go, it's what's in your fridge, because like we said during Hurricane Sandy, a lot of people around New Jersey here said we ate like kings. And they'd be like, what do you mean you ate like kings? It was a devastating storm. Well, the first thing to go is the electricity. And when the electricity goes, the fridge started to thaw out and the freezer thawed out. So you ate out of the fridge, and then the freezer stuff used to be rock solid. That big box of steaks and that ham, now it's mushy. So we're eating steaks, ham, shrimp, right? And then after that, it was thank God the power came on like 2 weeks later. We had to cook on camping stoves. Here's another good prepper thing. One of these bad boys. These are cheap on Amazon. Get yourself one of these. I bought bulk packs of these cans. Go on Amazon. I got like, I don't know, a couple dozen of these. If the power does go out, let's say you have an electric stove. You ain't starting that thing. At least the power's out, you have a gas stove. You can grab a pack of matches and just go. And when you turn it, it's not going to go tick, 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 tick. There's no electricity anymore. I don't think it'll tick, tick, tick for you. You got to light it with a match. But if you have an electric stove, you're not cooking anything. So anyway, figure out how deep you want to go into this rabbit hole of prepping. For me, it's fun. I like it as a hobby. I like the safety factor where I know that if my fridge defrosts and all that, I got a pantry of stuff. And then there's the safety thing. Some people are like, I'm not in the guns. Okay, learn how to shoot a bow and arrow. What are you going to do for personal safety? If the grid went down for a year, you will see roving packs of gangs on your street, depending on where you live. God forbid you live in a huge urban area like LA or Chicago, New York City, or any of them. Ugh, it just gives me the chills to think about it. And I have family who live there too, and we've talked to them. Like, you got to figure out a way to get out of there. And we've said, they're like, oh, we'll just Uber. You're gonna what? No. It's going to be gridlock. You're not. It doesn't matter if you have a monster truck. It's going to be gridlock. You're not going to be able to get over the bridges. There's going to be accidents. The whole system's going to be overwhelmed. Do you think a big accident, couple cars spin out on the bridge because everybody's freaking out to try and get out of the city? Do you think emergency response is going to be able to get past 600 cars to clear these two? No, the whole thing is going to be a death trap. In a huge situation, a power outage for, a few days, everybody's just going to hunker down and eat out of their fridges and pantries. But in a big, SHTF situation, you're going to have to walk out of the city. How are you going to get across a bridge in a vehicle when it's gridlocked? You're going to have to walk, swim. I don't know. This is an ongoing topic with me and, my extended family members that live in the city. I'm like, you got to figure out a way to get down here because, of course, they're going to come down here. So anyway, I appreciate you hanging in there. I know this is kind of like a long rambling thing, but if you want to get into prepping, just buy canned goods, rice, flour, be able to make bread. That's another thing. I've never made bread in my life. I told my fiance I want to make bread for the first time. I've never done it, ever. I don't know how to make bread. I think it has something to do with flour, water, and a rolling pin. I still don't know how to do it. Buy your flour, pancake mix, all that stuff. Stock it up and watch it grow. And then, depending on how far you want to get into it, you can go Psycho Rocket Hardcore Prepper, which I admire them a lot. I watch a lot of videos and they're like, this is my prepper pantry. And it's like the size of my garage. I got shelves, like that high, and you see buckets and buckets and buckets. I personally wonder, I'm like, bro, you ever going to eat that? They're like, well, we recycle it. It's like, yeah, you might recycle it. And I know it has a long shelf life, but you're like a family of 5 and you have enough food to, feed a battalion. I don't even know how big a battalion is. I should, but I think it's a lot of people. Is that stuff ever going to get eaten? But they'll say in response, well, it might not ever get eaten, but if something really bad happened, to this country or the grid or anything, Yellowstone volcano, oh God, that's a scary one. Super volcano thing, that would be, wow, that's bad. I've done research on it though, because it kind of freaked me out hearing about Yellowstone super volcano underneath. It's like the whole state would blow up and we'd go into like a nuclear frost, be like all the soot, like we wouldn't even get any sun, everything would die. I'm glad to find out after reading many articles on that yeah, I don't think we're due for anything on that for like, I don't know. 100,000 years? I don't know. Somebody knows. Somebody listening to this is going, I know. Well, I don't know. But I know it's not going to be within my lifetime. Hopefully. But if it does, I'll be pretty much eating squirrels. So, decide how far you want to prep, how hardcore you want to get into it. To me, it's a fun hobby. And if it turns out that it works out where something happens, my hobby switches into my survival. So, do what you will with it. And 10-4 Ghost Rider.